Let's start with your years at Deloitte, because this is something many of our listeners can connect with. Many of us have consulting background. I have a background in consulting. So let's start there. How did you decide to become a consultant, and what was your journey?
I didn't actually decide to become a consultant. I decided to join a particular team of people, which is interesting, and I think probably in hindsight, a way many of us embark on a particular career or a particular tenure with an organization. But I was doing recruiting. I was at Columbia Business School, finishing up an MBA, and I was doing recruiting, and I was looking at consulting firms, and I think they were looking at me and going, "We're not quite sure what to make of this guy." And I wasn't I was trying very hard to persuade myself that this was the thing I should be doing, and failing largely. So I was a little bit lost. And then I went to a recruiting event for Deloitte's. It was then called the People Competency, and then turned into the Human Capital Practice. And it was completely different. It was night and day different. And I remember thinking, this is my tribe. And if you'd have said to me that morning, is your tribe human capital consultants? I would have actually said, in all honesty, what are human capital consultants? But when I met these people, they cared about the same sort of things that I seemed to care about. They were curious about the people and leadership elements of work, and they were a bunch of fun. Now, that was in, I'm going to date myself, but I think probably 2001 or 2002. A couple of weeks ago, one of the people in that room had a retirement party, and I went to the retirement party. So this has turned into pretty much a quarter century relationship with a group of people who I'm still in touch with and still very fond of. But it was not the first motive was join this team and learn about what they do because they seem to be having enormous fun doing it. It wasn't go be a consultant of a particular flavor.
And once you joined Deloitte, what was it like? How did you adapt it? Did you enjoy your first few days, or did you thought maybe this is not for me?
I remember the overwhelming impression I had was that I'd perhaps naively thought that when you joined an organization, someone would sit you down and say, "Now do this, now do this, now do this, now do this," and would point you at a series of tasks. But as anyone listening who's worked in a large sort of professional services environment will know, it doesn't sort of go like that when you're in professional services. So somebody says, "Look, here's a badge, here's a laptop, here's how to switch it on, and here's how to log into the resource management system and say that you're available for work. And now you've got to go find a thing to work on." And I'm like, "Well, I walked through the door 15 minutes ago. I don't know. How do you find a thing to work? I don't know how to find a thing. I'm just, what craziness is this? I've got to sort of network my way into this organization." Of course, what I did was I reached out to the people who I'd met at the recruiting event, and they're like, "Don't worry, we knew you were coming. We'll sort you out." And I got onto my first assignment that way. But the thing that, looking back, the thing that really stand out to me was the sudden realization that large organizations were things that had to be navigated. And there was this word, navigating, that everyone was saying. And I initially had no idea what it meant. And then I came to understand what it meant. And it's a way of understanding or seeing or realizing that for all the structure in the world, for all the lines on the org chart and all the boxes and all the process and all the procedure, actually, when an organization gets to a certain size, there's always a little bit of sort of Wild West to it. There's always a little bit of you have to look out for yourself and know how to network and know how to advocate. And so I began to learn those things, I think, at the very beginning.